All right, so this is Chevy Malibu Ecotec 2013, and I was changing this. Look at the stock number. It's a crankshaft sensor. So the car wouldn't start, so we had to change this crankshaft sensor. So a lot of the vehicles I looked at had it in the back where the starter is at. So this one, the starter is not in the rear of this vehicle. And as you can see, the exhaust system is in the front. So you have to pull up the diagram and figure out where this piece is at. So if you go to where the starter is at, which you get it down, the starter is down. So you see the starter? So right there where the starter, right on top of the starter, is that piece. And it's sitting off to the right hand side. And it's awkward to get to it, so what you'll have to do is take off the I don't know if you can hear me. So it's awkward to get to it. So what you'll have to do is take off the starter to get to that bolt. So if you know how to take off the starter, you just take the two bolts off, take the electrical cable off, pull the starter out. You ain't got to disconnect the starter all the way. Just pull the starter out, sit it on the base, and then you'll see it sitting off to the right hand side of another sensor that's to the left. Don't fuck with that sensor. The one on the right hand side, mess with that one. Take the little, it's an 8mm bolt. Take the bolt off. You're gonna have to jiggle with it a little bit, wiggle it a little bit, play with it a little bit. Probably put some needle nose pliers in there. Put them needle nose pliers in there and kind of wiggle it out till you get it out of there, and then replace it. Put the new one in and hook it up. Make sure you disconnect the battery. Disconnect the battery cable so you won't get electrocuted. In order for me to get down there to get on that top bolt, I had to take this exhaust off. So only thing I disconnected was this piece right here. Took this exhaust off, sat it to the side so I can have some room to maneuver down in here to get that bolt on top. Because the hardest bolt on the starter is that one on the top. It's a Dewey. Now on this vehicle, on most vehicles it's a 13mm. On this one it's a 15mm for the starter bolts. So you need a long extension for the top to put the 15mm on. Then at the bottom you got the 13mm, and then of course the nut that's on the ground for the starter is a 12mm. So you put that 12mm on the nut, take the nut off, take the electrical cable connector off, and then disconnect the bottom bolt for the starter, then the top bolt for the starter, which are 15mm. I correct myself, 15mm. Once you get the starter out the way, now you have room to pull out that piece, to pull out the crankshaft sensor for it. And this is what the old one looked like right here. It's the old one. That's an 8mm bolt, and see that mug was really damaged. So yeah. So if you got a 2013 hybrid with a crankshaft sensor need to be replaced, that's all you do. Take off the starter. Well, first thing you want to do is disconnect the negative cable. I always do the negative and the positive. Disconnect both of those. Remove your take your exhaust shit off, push it to the side, get down up in it. First thing, you know what I'm saying, disconnect the electrical cable, then disconnect the ground with the 12mm socket, then take the bottom bolt off, which is a 15mm, go up top with an extension, push it to the back, take that 15, it's gonna take a little bit because you gotta break it first, then kind of work it out a little bit. Once you get that off, boom, go ahead and wiggle the starter off. Hang the starter to the side, or if you want to, you can take it all the way off, or you can just change the starter if you need a new starter. Pull that sucker out and change it. And once you got it, you can have access to that to the crankshaft sensor. Take a 8mm bolt, unscrew it, take that little bit of bolt off, pull the sensor out. You got to wiggle it a little bit, or take some needle nose pliers, kind of jiggle it, then it'll come right out for you. Once you put it out, go ahead and replace the new one, put it on in there, put the starter back together. Same way you took it off, just do the opposite of it, and then come up top, put this back together. You know what I'm saying? Once you put that back together, go ahead and give it power, and then crank the vehicle up. And there you have it. You good. Boom, boom, boom. Peace out.